Welcome back to SourceFedNERD. Today I want to talk about the top 10 comics of 2016. Most of you are about to go on to some sort of holiday break, so to save yourself from boredom or to have an excuse to not talk to your relatives, I'll give you some reading material. Now, these are my personal favorites, plus some comic book suggestions I got from friends and coworkers. Some of these kicked off their first issue this year, some ended this year, and some are still in the middle of their run. Whatever the case, let's dive in. Also, most of you are probably going to ask me, Sam, where do I get these comics? What if I've never read a comic before in my life? Help me. You can go to any bookstore or comic book shop and order these if they don't have them in stock, or you can just go to Comixology.com and purchase them digitally. This is my personal way of reading because I can take them anywhere. And most of these stories are self-contained, so either they'll explain the backstory quickly so you can get up to speed, or you can just do what every other comic book fan does and just go to Wikipedia for the answers. Anyways, number 10, Teen Titans Earth 1. If you were ever a fan of either of the Teen Titans cartoons or if at all been interested in one of their stories, Earth 1 is the book that you need to pick up today. A few years back, Teen Titans Earth 1 Volume 1 was released and it instantly became a hit. The Earth 1 title means that this takes place in another universe where all the characters that you know and love like Superman, Batman, and the Titans are reintroduced and their origins are tweaked slightly. This year, Volume 2 was released and I loved it. Came out on my birthday. The reason I recommend this story, especially for our younger viewers, is because of how this book is laid out. You're introduced to a large number of heroes simultaneously without it feeling overwhelming. It also kind of has a young adult novel feel to it, and I don't mean that in a negative way or a cheesy way, but it's an easily digestible and highly addictive story. They also release these in volumes rather than multiple issues, and the art is... So if you've ever been interested in the Teen Titans, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, then you should check out Teen Titans Earth 1, Volume 1 and 2. Number 9. With the introduction of the King of Wakanda himself, T'Challa, aka Black Panther, to the MCU, Marvel Comics launched a new solo series for the Avenger, cause duh, easy money, right? Nah, Marvel doesn't always run like that, minus Civil War 2. But anyways, this was a chance to make something special. With the combined efforts of top-notch writer Ta-Nehisi Coates and artist Brian Stelfreeze, sorry, Ta-Nehisi needs his proper titles, MacArthur Genius and National Book Award winner Ta-Nehisi Coates. Pretty freaking cool. This team dives into the culture of Wakanda, its people, and most importantly, what it means to be a king. And I know it might sound like you've heard that story before, but the way that this team unwraps this story, you'll be begging for the next issue. I know I was. Number 8, another Earth 1 storyline, Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 1. Want to see why Wonder Woman might be the most powerful character in DC Comics? Read this comic. I don't mean that she's gonna punch a hole through the sun. I don't even know that's been confirmed that she can do that. But what I mean is that throughout this epic spanning both classic Greek mythology to modern day social and political issues, Princess Diana is allowed a chance to showcase her greatest weapon, her heart. She loves more than any being can. She never gives up and she will always fight for what is right because it's who she is. And this explains exactly how she got that way. Seriously, if you want a story of women kicking ass, not taking shit from nobody, then you should read this book. Number 7, back in 2015, Marvel said, F it. Let's just take all of our alternate universe stories and just shove them together into one cohesive universe. But to do that, they kind of had to blow everything up and then start over. But it allowed for the creation of Battleworld, a hodgepodge of lands from different universes that were pulled together into a life raft of sorts for the multiverse. Secret Wars, this 9-part series, brought together the main Marvel universe and Marvel's Ultimate Universe into a beautiful epic from writer Jonathan Hickman. Want to visit a land where the 90s X-Men live? How about the Marvel Zombies meeting our mainstream heroes? What do you think about a Greenland overrun by Hulks? It's weird, but it's cool. You get all of these and more with all of the tie-in comics, but if you wanted to save some money, you'll get plenty of action and thorough character development in the main Secret Wars book. Also, a very touching ending. Might even jerk a tear out of you. Number 6, Max Landis, the talented writer behind Chronicle and American Ultra, got the chance to write a Superman story that premiered last year and finished out in 2016. Ooh, but important note, it was advertised as not the Superman story. Pretty cool. Superman American Alien. This is a story of Kal-El Clark Kent, the adopted boy from the stars who moves to the big city and eventually becomes the symbol of truth, justice, and the American way. Landis' take on Clark is so real. For a boy from the stars, this is probably the most human character I've read this year. Max gives Superman faults. He shows us a legitimate origin for Lex Luthor and Superman's rivalry, and there's some fun ties to Batman. They're just downright epic. It's a short, self-contained run that has solid ties to other DC characters that you will know and you will love. You want a relatable Clark Kent? Then read American Alien. Number 5, who doesn't love crossovers and team-ups? This year, we saw the epic conclusion of the IDW and DC Comics crossover, which brought your favorite TMNT characters over to Gotham City. Shredder versus Batman? Yes, please. Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a short series about 6 issues, and it doesn't skip a beat. Pick this up if you've ever been a fan of either of these properties, and don't worry, this story is kind of separate from everything else going on in DC, so it's an easy breezy, beautiful read. Number 4, keeping on with the team-ups, the 2 most popular characters from Marvel have finally come together into one epic ongoing story. That's right, the Webhead and the Merc with the Mouth have joined forces, and oh boy is it a fun read. When both of these wildcards have to switch between playing the straight man, it really opens the doors when it comes to storytelling. Also, they've had numerous guest writers who have written fantastic one-off issues. If you've been a fan of any of their films, then you will love this series. Number 3. Now this is my favorite story from Marvel this year. All-star writer Tom King helmed a solo vision storyline that told the story of this synthezoid, aka an android with fake human parts, trying to live a normal suburban life. He built them, of course. Not creepy at all. This book is a mix of unsettling premonitions, cold-hearted logic, raw emotions, and Americana that when put together creates a story that honestly transcends the current superhero genre. How far would you go to protect your family? Only 12 issues, it's all finished now, and it had me tearing up. Nah, I cry a lot, big surprise. If you felt like you didn't learn enough about this pink robot from the MCU, then read this ASAP. Number 2. Now most of you comic fans might be mad at me for not bringing up more indie titles because this year has been a fantastic year for Image Comics and numerous other smaller publishers. Honestly, I've only been in the deep end of the comic book realm for a few years now, and I'm only now getting into the fantastic other stories that are out there. In my search for non-Marvel and DC books, I found the one comic that every comic book lover is reading, Saga. This story comes to us from Brian K. Vaughan, my favorite writer of all time, and has been going on for a few years now. This year, however, this story has been a non-stop thrill ride. This storyline takes the things that people love from the fantasy genre and their favorite sci-fi stories and merges them into a galaxy-spanning war epic about love, hardship, and these weird robots with TV heads. Excuse me, Prince Robot IV. Do you want to read a real love story with real human emotions that will have you begging for the next issue to come out? Then read Saga and have your mind blown. And lastly, number 1 on my list comes from DC Comics. Now, DC hasn't had the most solid track record over the past few years, but our Lord and Savior, Jeff Johns, praise be, the entire DC Comics brand just got a jump start that has made it the top dog comic book seller of 2016. DC Rebirth, an 80-page epic spanning the entire DC universe that brings back the things that classic comic book fans love while opening the door for new readers. I waited up until 2 a.m. the day that this was released to be one of the first to read it in my friend circle, and yes, you guessed it, it had me crying and then screaming, holy shit. Not exaggerating, ask my roommates. Also, my boy, The Flash, had a pretty fantastic moment, just saying. Also, if you're familiar with one of the biggest comic book movies and stories of all time, wink wink, you'll be in on the secret of this story. I know that's vague, but when you read DC Rebirth, you know what I mean. A wink. Wink wink. Lastly, some honorable mentions: Superman Rebirth, pre-New 52 Superman who's a dad. You'll have tears in your eyes while you read this. Batman Rebirth, Batman has a team with everyone's favorite heroes and villains. Paper Girls, time travel. Enough said. Black Widow's solo run. Might not be getting a movie anytime soon, but this comic run will definitely please fans of the red-headed assassin. Sheriff of Babylon if you want more indie stories. Champions, Marvel revived an old team and the lineup is perfect. Miss Marvel, Nova, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Viv, Vision's daughter, Totally Awesome Hulk, Time Display Cyclops. Need I say more? And also read Gwenpool. I know it might sound like a cheap money grab after the success of Spider-Gwen, but trust me, this book has more heart and soul than most other Marvel and DC titles that are out there today. But that's it for me. Again, these are my top 10 favorite comics of 2016, but what do you guys think I missed? What other comics should I and the other people watching this be reading? Let us know down below. Like, share, subscribe, have a happy holidays, and I'll see you next time.